all had a good tea and good break. It's a nice weather outside, and I'm sure you all want to get out the minute it finishes. So we've had a pretty good speaker series so far. That's kind of putting me a little nervous. I don't know what I'm going to speak about. But looking at sustainable development, I must say that for now I don't feel like there's the experience to do integrated and sustainable development. You need to have an experience which is far stretched. As Professor Yashpal was saying, you need to think beyond what you are currently doing. It's not about what you're studying. I'm an engineer, but when I look at development issues, there's a lot of development issues related to financial sector, related to healthcare, related to many things as before us to be presented, and even so we need to look at things in a very holistic manner. And when I look at myself, I don't see a whole lot of experience behind me. So what I see is a very small and very a view that is centered around myself. And and even a lot of you guys face the same thing. As youth, as individuals, what do you need to do? It's not like how do you change a financial sector? I don't know. From a policy perspective, what do you do? There's so many things, and it's such a complex. But what I'm going to talk about is, I'm going to talk about very simple things. I'm going to talk about how we can take very simple steps today, and hopefully those simple steps in the long run can make us sustainable, can make our environment really good. So, there's a sort of a dramatic background that I have, right, to take back our country. So look at current India, what's happening. There's a lot of action of businesses, there's a lot of action from media, there's a lot of action from schools, our judiciary, there's action happening everywhere. And what happens is, we suddenly get affected by it, and either we crib or we praise them. And these things are happening, but we don't do anything about those. There's the act is missing in us, right? We tend to get affected, but we never really protest. We never really come about. It's only in the last few years, because of the coming about of social media, we're getting more aware of what things are happening. We're easily able to form some groups. So what happens after that, right? You protest, be it any incidents, and there are thousands of incidents happen across India, across the world, but nothing really comes far ahead, right? We need to be involved in this process. So what we need to understand is we need to take back our country. If you notice there's this lot of special interest groups have come about. There's media who has their agendas. There's political parties who are pursuing and telling us one thing. Be it the BJP, the Congress, or whatever. As youth, I'm confused. I don't know who to believe and who not to believe. And if you just take this, there's a new term in place, which is called civocracy. We think India as a big democratic country and we're the largest democracy, but we're really not that. We're actually turning into a civocracy, which means a special interest group run organization. It's a country for, by, and of special interest groups. They all have agendas and they are pushing it through. And the way they're able to push them through is you have it right there. If you get people disgusted, they might want to get away from politics, and that's the real goal. And that's why Professor Shantu Iyengar, he's done a lot of studies around how negative publicity and negative politics work. All of us are really disgusted with the current political setup that's happened. When people are going at each other, there's no moral, there's no ethics that are being really followed. And what happens is that really, gets a lot of the people who are in the middle, just like most of us. I'm generalizing because, I feel part of the person sitting right there, right? I don't know. And when you get disgusted, you try to stay away from it, and that's their victory. So what we need to do is we must understand this is very important for us to act. And no matter what it is, no matter if it's disgusting, no matter if it's, if you're not liking something, you need to continue to act. You need to participate in this process. Then only it's going to be democratic. Every country has its own set of challenges, be it health, social, and it's only when a lot of people participate, then a solution can be found, or a solution can be achieved. And so for that, I must say that as a citizen, in order to qualify ourselves as citizens, rather than just always claiming for our rights, or freedoms, we should look at our duties, and we should look at that we need to act in the country. So very simple thing that we need to just simply act. And this leads to a quote by Edmund Burke. He said that all that is necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing. So, we consider ourselves good, but, we can just sit in our homes and do nothing about it, or we can be part of it, and we can actually make some changes. Then, next thing is, we don't need to look at things as very complex. We don't need to look at, in such a big way that, we need a world-changing idea, because there is no such thing. You cannot just say that do this and suddenly you'll have a better India or a better world. I think this all starts from, again, goes back to the Mahatma Gandhi philosophy, right? So be the change, be the one who takes initiative. And there is a simple 10 actions, checklist, right? You can just do very simple actions. And these are well proven. There's studies done around this. That if you just do simple things like, pick a piece of trash from someone else's. We all complain about there's so much garbage in our country. The roads are dirty. But what do we do? Can we just not pick up a piece of trash and just trash it? You'll just slowly walk away from it. Oh my God, somebody did this. But but it's very simple. You just pick it up and throw it. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort. And what will happen is, slowly, the next person sees it, he feels obligated to do the same thing, and it just suddenly starts rubbing things up. And we start seeing much cleaner societies around us. The another big thing is we need to learn to stand up for ourselves. We get pushed around all the time, and especially for women. Women generally don't stand up for themselves, and then a lot of the issues, a lot of the the things automatically starts going downhill. So we need to learn to respect ourselves, because unless we respect ourselves, we won't get the respect, or we need to earn it. And and standing up for a cause is very, very important. Simple things like vote. Janagra has launched a pretty big campaign around Jago Ray, and the whole idea is creating voter awareness. How does special interest groups come by? There's a concept of democracy death spiral. What that says is, you have when you go, you have uninformed citizens who kind of vote on emotions. It could be media driven, or it could be sort of engineered, and these emotions tend to make you uninformed decisions. And these uninformed decisions then lead us to a gap in the political environment, and that's what these special interest groups kind of come in and fill the void. So, we need to kind of understand and educate ourselves around political candidates, and also be able to vote. Voting is very, very important. How many of us know that there is actually a section 51A in the Constitution which talks about our duties? Every day we hear people talking about, this is my right. Government is violating my right, or a business is violating my right, or there are fundamental duties as citizens that we do, and we tend to overlook it. So we need to learn. We need to understand what duties we have first before we have demand for our rights. And number one point: don't be intimidated. There are a lot of forces that are trying to bully us down. If you notice, there's a lot of incidents that happen, whistleblowing, and there's a lot of negative emotions that get fed in people, and you get scared. But it's your backbone that will really determine. If you look back, the leaders that we admire today were the leaders who stood up and in adversarial situations is corrupt. And it takes courage. But what happens is that time, the testing time when the courage was shown, they really took them apart. So that's the courage that we need to develop as people. And so I'm just following this simple mantra. I was like, surely I can do the same thing, and not really ask for a whole societal change. It's just these simple steps. If I can do, I'm sure it will rub off, and we can have lot many more people participating in this. So when we talk about change, it's like we were expecting instant gratification. We must understand that for any change to happen, it takes its due course. It's a slow process. There was Dr. Samuel Paul, who was a director at IIM. He mentioned that for any change to happen, even in government space, first it requires internalization. They should understand that the change is important. Then after that, there is a sense of coalition building. You need to get more and more people to understand why the change is important. And then last, it requires adoption. So this follows a due course. And when we try to hijack this process, what happens is, again, we're working in the hands of special interest groups. They have a particular agenda that they want to get pushed. And if you notice, if any of you have traveled to US, there was this Special Patriot Act that got put in right after 9/11, which really changed people's lives. Privacy was taken away. There was so much frisking happening on airports, any place you go. You've certainly lost that sense of freedom. And it was just that one act and a reaction to it that really now has set the country back. US was known to be a land of the free. I wonder if it still is. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing. When we are talking about changes in, let's go and behead this, or let's go and do this. I'm not here not saying that the emotions are unjustified. All I'm saying is we need to take a little step backwards and look at it in a long perspective, because then is only when we can make some right decisions. Otherwise, we're going to be curtailing our freedoms in the long run. And democracy is not that. Democracy is all about our freedom, our rights. So, so those are the three things, to recap, that we must act, we must look at simple ways, and we must understand and learn patience. It's very important, that we need to become patient. And with that, so that's the qualities of a good citizen. And as a good citizen, I'm looking at how I can make a difference. And then I look at what kind of problems as a citizen do I face. So first problem or a challenge that as a citizen you have is you have lack of resources. You have resources goes back to time, material, money, and you have a limited number of them. Imagine if every action could be as simple as a Facebook like button. The world would be a different place. Everybody is participating in that, but nobody is participating in the comment stream, because Facebook like is very fast and very effective. It shows that you are participating in it. So, we need to have our resources and all those things maximized. Then only we'll have a better. We also have lack of information, or in a way, limited information. We don't have enough information about businesses, products, about NGOs, about government institutions, leaders. It's very limited sense that we cannot really hold anybody accountable. What we need to build is we need to build information. We need to have access to that information to hold people accountable. And third is, we're not organized for collective action. For any change to happen, we need to come together. It's very difficult. I may stand up here with a cause and I may rally 5-10, but that really wouldn't really get us noticed. We need to come together and form a collective. And how can so I'm kind of trying to sort of address some of these problems in my own way. I don't want to sit here and tell you about all the tools and things that I'm building, because I don't know whether they're relevant. I don't have a hindsight view of Mitch. telling you that this has worked or not has worked. I'm just trying few things out. So, but as a citizen, collective action and be able to easily form collectives is very, very important, and for any change to happen. So with that, I'd like to sort of show you a video which sort of describes these problems in a little more detail, and then just a quick video sort of summarizing, what I just said, like, collective action, how people, and, just to conclude, I must say that, as you, even though we may be inexperienced, we don't have the background to really make a lot of big changes, like the grand changes. What we can do is we can kind of find our own inspiration and find our own small little ways to make a difference, and, basically make sure that none of these good ideas or people get to waste. With that, thank you all for your